Give me an N, give me an X, give me a T, and you can keep the remaining 23 letters of the alphabet to yourself, please and thank you. NXT has been a pretty reliable brand in terms of delivering quality wrestling, but despite some moments here and there, I never fully sat down to watch it. Thankfully, Triple H had the good mind to create the TakeOver events, which is what this list is all about, in a way. The TakeOver events usually take place before a huge WWE pay-per-view, and I watch a lot of matches from them for the purposes of this top 10 list video. I didn't get to watch every match, and there's a lot on this list that aren't here simply because I couldn't find them to watch. For example, Gargano vs Ciampa from New Orleans, but the ones on here are still incredible matches, and it took a lot to keep it down to 10. Let's have some honourable mentions first. I want to throw in so that people can get mad at me. All of Gargano and Ciampa's matches with each other. Bayley vs Sasha Banks at TakeOver Brooklyn, The Revival vs American Alpha and Sami Zayn vs Shinsuke Nakamura both at TakeOver Dallas, Natalya vs Charlotte at the first ever TakeOver, Gargano vs Andre Cien Almas at TakeOver Philadelphia. So many more that I just do not have the time to list, but let's go to the 10 that I do have time for. Number 10, we have MSK vs Grizzled Young Veterans vs Legado del Fantasma at TakeOver Stand and Deliver. Let's start the list with one of the things that NXT is best at in tag team wrestling. We have the super likeable and acrobatic MSK, back when they were still together, the technical psychology of Grizzled Young Veterans, back when they were still the Grizzled Young Veterans, and the cruel showmanship of LDF, back when, well, they're still around now, but they're on the main roster, which is nice. All three teams go off the rails here, though, with the story thread tying things together adding a lot. Would WWE give MSK their due? Spoilers, yes. Would the Grizzled Young Vets get their revenge on MSK earlier for losing the Dusty Cup? Would LDF be able to add more gold to their case? Thankfully MSK won, but damn it, what a fun 15 minutes of flight, heart and proper grit this match is. Number 9, we have Sasha Banks vs Becky Lynch vs Charlotte vs Bayley at TakeOver Rival. The four horsewomen of WWE was one of the best wrestling stories of 2015, and somehow they've only had one match against each other once. This being that match, and what a piece of action it is. The ladies involved are true workhorses, and all four go hole for hole with some great sequences, but what makes this match great is the changes that occur during it. Not just Sasha winning the belt, as great as that was, but Becky's character getting a boost, Charlotte showing a darker side of herself, and of course threads that would sow the seeds to one of the best women's wrestling feuds ever, but more on that very, very soon. Number 8, Finn Balor vs Kyle O'Reilly at TakeOver 31. For a long while, Kyle O'Reilly was NXT's unsung hero, and it was a hard task going against resurgent NXT champion Finn Balor. The decaying of the Undisputed Era in 2020 was subtly handled, and you could argue that Kyle's performance here was something that necessitated that. The match is also just great, with some stiff striking, amazing selling, and damn painful looking holds. It does lose a couple of points, however, due to the unfortunate injury on Finn's jaw, but this is one of the best examples of a blood, sweat and tears match that you're likely to see. It goes so hard, it goes so damn hard. Number 7, Pete Dunne vs Tyler Bate at TakeOver Chicago. This one holds a special place in my heart as being the first full TakeOver match that I ever watched, and it happened in the year where NXT was starting to lose some of its shine, weirdly enough. But this was one of the shiny parts of the year, with the two former British Strong Style members putting in an absolute clinic. Just with great catch wrestling, and the two have worked together so much that they know each other inside and out, not that way you weirdos. The escalation to the more full-on fight, great character work from both men and Dunne especially, and Peter Dunne getting the win and the belt to start his NXT era as the UK champion all work well, and it's one of the best cases of letting two dudes just do what they're great at. Number 6, we have the Broserweights versus the Undisputed Era at TakeOver Portland. This was the last TakeOver before the pandemic would cruelly take fans away from NXT venues, and this was one of the last great NXT tag matches before MSK would set the division on fire again in late 2020, well, late 2020/early 2021. The difference is that this one had more doubt going in, as so many thought that Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle were just thrown together as opposed to Red Dragon, one of the greatest tag teams in modern wrestling, regardless of the promotion they came from. All four men put on great sequences and spots, and I love that it plays with the expectations of the Broserweights breaking up, only to come back stronger and win the belts. It's just brilliant stuff. I love it. Number 5, Johnny Gargano vs Adam Cole at TakeOver New York. The Dave Meltzer highest rated match on the list, the Dave Meltzer highest rated match in WWE history, and my halfway point. You could argue that the story would have been better if Ciampa didn't get injured, but I like how it went going in personally. Both men were on the path to becoming the first ever NXT Triple Crown champion, and good god, the sequences in this one are just fantastic, with very, very close kickouts. The two match move for move in a match that solid escalates and builds up and subverts expectations, and makes the crowd happier to see Johnny win when everyone wanted Cole to win instead, but they were just hungry for Johnny than ever by the end. It's just absolutely wonderful stuff. I love it when a crowd plays a part in that stuff. Number 4, Volta vs Ilya Dragunov at TakeOver 36. The last TakeOver ever, and it had one of the best last hurrahs. I didn't get to see their first match on regular NXT UK, mostly because nobody watches it and that's why it's not around anymore. But how do you follow up one of the most brutal matches in wrestling history? By running it back, giving it more time and a proper audience, and letting the performers do whatever the hell they want to do. Ilya and Volta are both physical geniuses with charisma to spare, and the two knock shades of shite out of each other. It's a classic story told in the modern era well, and the ending may go down as one of the most iconic in TakeOver history. Number 3, Sasha Banks vs Bayley at TakeOver Respect. The match between these two at TakeOver Brooklyn was a lot of fun, honestly, but this one is elevated by Sasha's heel character work, the Iron Woman stipulation, plus the threat of doubt that Bayley would be a transitional champion. But both women turned that on its head, with Sasha's heel work genuinely being astounding and pulling a fast one over Bayley several times. This is good because it makes the fans hungry for the Bayley win, which he does get, but it adds so much to what was already a great story, elevating this to one of the all-time great TakeOver matches in my humble opinion. Number 2, Sami Zayn vs Neville at TakeOver Our Revolution. God, this was a tough call. Sami Zayn carried NXT throughout its early days, becoming the most over babyface in wrestling thanks to his unique selling, and hey, is a good babyface again now, thank God. This match itself is already great, but it's the stakes going in that elevate it, with Sami putting his NXT career on the line for the title. What follows is one of the most emotional matches in TakeOver history, with the fans against face champ Neville simply because of how much they love Sami. There's great flying spots and counters for days, but the ending will always get me. Sami gets a break and lifts the title while the ref is down, and the fans pleading for him not to do it before he wins it his way. Just absolutely amazing stuff, and one of the greatest pops in NXT history, but not my favourite match. Very, very close though. Number 1, DIY vs The Revival at TakeOver Toronto. It is so strange to think that 5 years of takeovers would pass after this one ended, and this still holds up as my personal favourite takeover match of all time, and easily one of my favourite pro wrestling matches of all time. It's a classic face challengers versus heel champions dynamic, and after DIY got screwed at the Dusty Classic, it all came to a head here, not to mention the added tension that DIY could have broken up if they had lost. Thankfully, they didn't, but it took some doing to get their win. I love everything about this match, from the crowd engagement to the transition to the hot tag payoffs. The one to Ciampa in particular is phenomenal. It even has DIY playing smart and beating the Revival at their own game, and the closing moment with the double submissions, Dawson and Wilder begging each other not to tap, might just be the greatest NXT TakeOver visual image of all time from, in my opinion, the best NXT TakeOver match of all time. And that'll about do it for this list. I really hope you enjoyed it. This was a very fun one to put together. I put it together a while ago and wanted to do a lot sooner, but life sort of kept getting in the way, and also I'm a lazy bastard. I would like to do more top 10 lists. It could be about pro wrestling, it could be about a lot of other stuff. I have stuff written down. I could just do improvised stuff. This was a scripted one in case you couldn't tell, so yeah, it'd be nice to not do scripted ones, but that's really up to me. Hope you liked it, and hope you really enjoyed the matches. If you haven't seen any of them, they're mostly easy to find. Just go find them, especially number 1. Well, numbers 1 through 10, they're all pretty fucking great, so yeah, next thing I'll see you for will probably be Music of the Week this Thursday. So, yeah, look forward to that. And as always, thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye-bye.